What are the biggest differences in scheme from where you came from to now?
I would say this is a lot more pro-oriented, sort of some of the verbiage, the route concepts, things like that. It's something that I've seen before, but I think that in this team that we sort of, with Coach Glenn Thomas's NFL background, we really honed in on that. So that's the biggest thing.
And then, quarterbacks to be determined. What's it like kind of assimilating with those guys and not knowing for sure, who that's going to be?
Yeah, I think it's tough. That's always one of the hardest things as a receiver is to not know who your quarterback's going to be and sort of try and go to each quarterback and find times to throw. And maybe I think a lot of times you sort of want a one-on-one setting where you can say, hey, this is how I run this route and this is why we run it, and sort of be able to really dive deep into it, but you're not able to do that as much now with not knowing who the starting quarterback is. And so sort of having to find ways to do that with all the quarterbacks until you sort of know who's the right one, I think is the best way that I've sort of managed to do it so far.
Just spoke to Emory Jones over there a moment ago, and he said that if he had like one word to describe the receiving core would be fast. Would you agree with that? Or
Definitely. I think that this receiving core overall is just a speedy receiving core who's going to be able to beat guys down the field, but also get the ball in their hands and make a lot of plays happen as well.
Thomas likes to max pro it up and throw the ball to shot players, it seems like. So you think there's a big play component with the new guys that you're bringing in, plus kind of what you do in the middle?
Definitely. I think that there's going to be a ton of big play opportunities for this team, and I think that it'll open up the run game even more and sort of not allow people to just sort of pack the box, but also it's gonna be exciting to watch.
What stands out to you about Emory, just getting to know him?
I think first is just his work ethic. If I would throw every single day and run routes every day, he would stay out there with me for 2 hours. So I think that that's something that's really good. I think his experience is something that you really can't underestimate as a quarterback. And then also just his leadership. I think he's done a really good job of, in such a short time, becoming a good leader on this team and sort of making sure the guys who come in are just feeling a part of the team and sort of also getting better each week.
So I guess maybe then what's your sense of just the overall culture here?
I would say that this is one of the best cultures I've ever been around. It's in terms of, it's a really player-led team. The coaches don't really give us a lot of directions. A lot of times the players just sort of do that, or we sort of know what to do already. So I think that was a little bit tough coming in because I'm looking for coach's direction, and they're not really giving it because everybody sort of knows. So it became sort of just watch what other guys are doing, and I think that honestly that's the best kind of culture you can have because at the end of the day you're around the players a lot more than you are the coaches.
How different was the culture at Vanderbilt, and how did you how was your transition here to Kansas?
I would say Vanderbilt is trying to build something similar. I think that, of course, they're in a rebuild process with Coach Lee being Coach Lee's second year. And so he's definitely trying to get this culture sort of down pat, but at the time it just wasn't that. So it was a lot of, being an older guy was always harder to sort of be being told, like, do this way, be here at this time, things like that all the time, rather than being able to be a player-led organization. And so I think for me to come here, it was so much more in my comfort zone, and it's been awesome, honestly.
So did that make the transition a little bit easier then since you're in your comfort zone?
100% it was a lot easier.
What made you pick ASU? Because you probably had a lot of different offers and could have gone a lot of places.
I think first and foremost is, like I said, I told them earlier, my ultimate goal is to go to the NFL, and hopefully sooner rather than later. And so when looking at that, I had to look at coaches who had NFL experience, had NFL connections, who I felt like could get me to that level, and I feel like ASU checked all of those boxes. And then secondly, to go to the NFL, you have to have production, you have to have opportunity. And so I had to look at a place where I thought that I could go in and have the opportunity to compete for a starting spot, and ASU also fit that bill, and not to mention just being around the players and being around the coaches, I feel like they're awesome. They're all great people. So.
What's your perspective on Bobby Wade? Because he obviously played at the highest level and hasn't coached this level that long, but a guy with older some experience.
Yeah, me and Coach Wade, I like Coach Wade a lot. We've been cool since the first time we talked. We instantly just connected, and I think he reminds me a lot of one of the receiver coaches I had at Vanderbilt named Aaron Moorhead, who they actually, I think, came out in the same draft class and played in the NFL together. So I think that Coach Wade is just, he's sort of a younger coach who understands what we're going through, so he's able to relate in that sense. and also knowing that he has that NFL background, he's able to teach us a lot of things that it's sort of harder to teach if you never got to play at that level. And so it's been really valuable for me.
So from a skill standpoint, then like what are the things that you guys were talking about that maybe you can do to kind of enhance your profile?
I think that one of them is just the ability to continue to get better at running routes. I mean, I think that although if you asked, I would say that's probably one of the strongest parts of my game. There's always ways to improve it. And so even little things that I never thought about before, he's been able to sort of teach me about releases. I mean, I'm a 6-foot slot right now. But that gives me the ability to play inside and outside, and he's talking to me about that. And so, having not played outside receiver very much since my sophomore year of college, just going over releases, ways that you can beat the press is something that he's really talking about as well.
Who do you study at the NFL level?
So when he was in the league, I did a lot of Julian Edelman. I still do, just because I think that he's crafty a lot like me, and I think that getting to that level would be something where I'd be able to play for a long time in the NFL. Cooper Kupp, I'd say Devontae Adams, just because he's such a good route runner, Amari Cooper. Not always guys that I feel like I relate to, but I think that you can take a little bit from each receiver and make it your own.
How excited are you just to get started here?
I'm pumped. I mean, as a player, you'll hear a lot of guys during spring ball be like, spring ball's the worst because you're practicing, feel like for nothing because you're not going into the season. But not getting the chance to be in spring ball, I realized how much I missed it. And so just getting to go out there and play football for the first time in 8 or 9 months is going to be something that just fills me with joy, honestly.